Okay, another job today. A couple of months ago I managed to reverse into a branch of a tree. The trunk of the tree was sort of back here, and as this branch came out and my sensors didn't pick it up, I was just reversing into parking space and I had this horrible smash. Temporarily I put this piece of plastic onto it, and it's done a pretty good job, but it's not really a security device. And I keep a toolbox in here and some tools, so that's not ideal. Anyway, I've just started pulling this. There's all this elastic on here, a bit of the broken glass, and a bit more up here. But I've bought this piece of 4.5mm acrylic. I think it's acrylic. Anyway, it's Perspex, more or less. And the guy who sold it to me does windscreens. And I mentioned about getting him to put this in, since he does it all the time. And he said that he wouldn't do it because it wouldn't stick. So apparently over time he's tried it before and it peels off. So this is fiberglass in here. I thought this is metal back here, but it's actually fiberglass all the way through. My plan is to put some screws through this, and have aluminium, maybe a strip along top and bottom. I'll look at what's going on and how it's going, but for the moment I'm just removing all of that elastic. Well, I've cleaned out the whole lot of muck from the old glass installation. I think I'll get a bit of sandpaper and give it a little bit of a rub just to clean this last bit of stuff off. But that's done a fairly good job. So I'm trying to decide whether I make a template out of cardboard. But looking at this, I think this is straight here. Yeah, look at my fingers. There's stuff on here. I think that's a straight line. I'll get a straight edge and confirm that. But assuming that's a straight edge, I can measure. It's 600mm from here up to here. 600mm, which is about 2 foot roughly. And 300mm just over in a foot, 305mm in a foot. But if I yeah, this is 600. I have measured it. If that's straight, which it does look straight, I will I can just mark out. I can measure how far it is across the bottom there, and then there is a bit of a curve here which I probably want to get, but I can go straight from sort of here up to here, and then I can just cut in that radius. But yeah, next move I think is to give that a sand down. And what I'm thinking, there's a little door here you can take out, which allows you to get to the rods that pull the locks. I think I can get a fairly long strip in here. So if I get, say, 5mm aluminium and have a piece that goes from, not do it in one piece, but something from about, say, here out to, you know, where I can get to here, maybe about here. If I drill and tap, say, 5 holes in that strip, and I can drill the same holes in this and the glass, then I can use, I can have a strip on the outside of aluminium that's going to bed in. I don't think it'd be good to try and rely just on this fiberglass. If you look in here, I don't know what you can see, but there's a screw, there's 2 screws there and there that are screwing this bit in. I thought this was metal, but it's all fiberglass. But those screws are doing no work. That's fine to have those holding that in. But this, there is a slight curve, not a big curve, but there is a slight curve on that, and so it's going to be putting some pressure on those screws. But if I have it backed by a strip, and I drill and tap that strip, say 25mm wide, and then, you know, sort of 5mm thick, which is sort of 3/16 for those who like the Freedom units. It's a little under a quarter, yeah. Quarter's 3.65, 6.35mm. So if I can get a backing strip along here, then it means that I'm spreading the load across the whole thing, and I can have countersink screws on the outside, and this strip along here, and along the bottom that'll hold that in really well. And then on the top I can screw in up here, and I'm thinking if I got some angle, or even I can bend some, that's a little bit more than 90 degrees I think, or a little less. It's a slightly acute angle. That's coming in like this, and that's pretty flat, so that's probably more like 80 degrees or something. But if I make up, say, 5 bits of angle, and I screw them in with screws up into here, I don't think I can easily get into here. I don't think I can easily get into here and put a strip in. There doesn't seem to be any access to this panel, but I think if I screw in screws, not unlike what's in here holding this in, into there, the pressure pushing out is pushing sideways on those screws, not trying to pull them out. So if I had them held up in here with the angle being like that, it's putting pressure out up against these screws that are going vertically. So I don't think that that would be nearly so much of a problem. But I'll also put on a good lot of Celastic to seal it and try and hold it in place. But I think the problem would be over time, with heat and vibration and so forth, I think the problem that the guy that sold me the Perspex was worried about is over time with the vibration and heat and sun and all the rest of it, it could just peel out. The celastic could peel out. But if I have it so that it's held in place top and bottom, that holds the Perspex in position, it reduces the pressure, or hopefully largely eliminates the pressure on the celastic, so it should hold it in position. So that's my plan at the moment, a very cunning plan if I do say so myself. I'm now looking at my stash. When I do this job, I think my next job will be remaking this and putting racking underneath so I can tidy this awful mess up. But I don't see anything in here that's going to do the job. And again, in here I've got, this is all 50mm. This would be the sort of thickness I'm looking for inside the tailgate. Yep. I've got various sizes there, but not what I'm looking for. I do have some angle, but that's probably bigger than I want. So I think a trip to my friendly aluminium suppliers, Party's Aluminium, might be appropriate. But I am thinking that I've got this stuff. I've got plenty of this stuff. You always have plenty until you run out. But I can cut some of those and bend them, because that will bend in my finger brake. I can make 5 angle brackets out of that. So I don't need anything for that, I don't think. Yeah, I don't need any of that, but I think I need a length of 5mm maybe, but 25mm, which is going to be half that width. So I think I'm heading into Parties soon. One extra thing to note is that I inquired with a place that does windscreens, and they spent, I don't know, 2.5 weeks, and they got back to me and said they couldn't find a glass, and they said maybe I could just replace the canopy. So this isn't something I'm doing just because I decided that it'd be fun to do. I'm doing it because if I don't do it, I don't know, $3,500–4,000 to get another canopy. So I'd much rather get this one working and fixed than spend the money on the other. I reckon I'll be into this for, I don't know, under $300 instead of over $3,000. So that's my justification or reasoning for doing this. Since doing my sister's bench in here, I've installed a bunch of new lighting because the room was quite dark. I've got them, so I've got little plugs up there. But anyway, it's very nice to be in here with much better lighting. So what have I done? I have cut out a template with cardboard and fitted that into the space it's got to go. There's a curve along the top here, and so I'm about to attempt to cut this out. The guy advised me to use a jigsaw and to use something for aluminium with very fine teeth. So I will, just on a bit of the spare that's over here, I'll just take some test cuts to make sure that I am in control of the tool and it's going where I want to, and I want it to, and make sure that I can get it to go where I want to. So I'll give myself a bit of a trial run over here on this leftover stuff, and see how well I can get this thing to cut. Well, that went as well as I could have hoped. Material cut very nicely. I put a flapper disc onto my little angle grinder just to tidy things up, but I was told to use very high number of teeth on the blade. This is 32 teeth per inch, and I'd never noticed that this has got different modes for different levels of manoeuvrability. So I put it into the one that seems to be, according to this one looks like it's for cutting straight lines, and that one I used around the corners, but it cut really nicely, no problem at all. Well, my Christmas present from the clan, which is, we have our sort of combined family thing. Anyway, I request what I want. I asked for this, so obviously, it's just a level, but I really wanted it particularly for using on the finger prake. Being able to make repeatable angles and so forth, I think is a jolly good thing. So you can zero it. So I put a piece of the stuff I'm bending in. So I put a bit of the stuff I'm bending into the brake. So that's roughly in, and then just take up the slack. Well, yeah. Anyway, yes, put a bit of the stuff that I'm bending in, and then just zero it. And near enough to zero. And then as I bend, I get the angle I want, or I'm at. So it just makes for much more repeatable parts. So I'm bending these. These are going to retain the window in on the top. I've got these screws, and I've already put two on, and they look like they're going to work well. This matches the angle in the, there's a lip coming out over the top that matches the angle, and I'm spacing it so that there's, whatever that is, 1.2 I think, additional to the piece of Perspex. So I just put a piece of that in behind, a piece of this in flat, and a bit of the Perspex, and that way it gives it a bit of room for the gives it a bit of room for the elastic, so it doesn't just squeeze it all out. So the idea is that the glass, this will be sitting at the top, and the glass will slide up behind that, and that'll hold the top, and then I will have all my stuff on the bottom to retain it. Anyway, that will become more evident as I do more. Here's a tip I've shown before. I'm about to drill through the Perspex, and you see on the front of this I've got that little land, so I've just ground it sort of flat across there to break that sharp edge on both the cutting edges across this here, and that means that when it cuts through it doesn't actually grab and pull through and break the Perspex. So just, you can still use this drill for an ordinary drilling job like this. You don't have to resharpen it, but just breaking that edge makes all the difference when you're cutting. So I've drilled all of these. I've got the pieces that go behind already installed. They're drilled and tapped. And so I've clamped this onto here. There's about, I don't know, 8mm this end and only maybe 3mm at that, so maybe 5mm out. But I've already drilled the holes in the tailgate. So you can't see, but I marked with texture, a fine texture. I've got black marks here, and at this end I just peeled off the bottom part of the protective cover so that I could see through, and I had this clamped on behind, and I've marked where it was sitting, with this sitting in the position it's going to be on the tailgate. So I guess it's time to drill these holes, and if these holes are in the right position, everything will go as I want it to. If not, we'll just have to figure it out. Well, I'll cut these two holes, and you can maybe see I marked out around it with a divider the holes. You can see that there is the etching, and this hole as well. You can see the lines that I etched. So they didn't differ at all. I pre-drilled with a 6mm hole that I used with the same drill I used for these, and I'd taken that sharp edge off it, so that on the cutting edge, so that it didn't break as it came through. And this I did with a step drill, and it's all come up pretty nice. So now I have to fit this handle so it's got a spring in it. I had to pull it apart really to get it all in, so I'm not looking forward to having, don't think there's too much tension on the spring, but I'm not looking forward to it anyway. But I will now fit that, and then I think I'm pretty well right. Once I've got that in, I'm pretty well right to install it properly, which means taking that protective stuff off and gooping some silastic or silicone all over the mating part on the back of the trail, on the back of the ute, on the canopy, and then I can stick this in place. So far so good. It's all glued in now. It's oh, you can see this elastic all along there. It's a workhorse, this car, so it's not there to be pretty. I'll put a little screw in there and there just to hold those corners in, but basically the back opens and looks. So I think we're back in business. I put good bead of silicone all around here, and I might even put more in, I don't know. But basically, if you just pulled up somewhere and no one's looking, who's going to notice? I may look at tinting, because at the moment you can actually see there's a toolbox there, but again. So anyway, that, I reckon I'm into it. With, I've got leftovers, I've got a tube of silicone, and obviously I've got the gun I bought for the silicone, corking gun, and I've got about nearly 3 meters of this 25 by 3, and a similar, just slightly more, in fact this much more, or a little bit maybe more, of the 6mm. So that's my sort of bonus from that. But yeah, this was my temporary fix. I had this plastic on there, and that lasted for a couple of months, and did the job. So if that did the job, this will do the job even better. And actually, while that was doing it, there was no handle, there's nothing to attach the handle to, so anyone could have opened the back. But I reckon, as I was saying, probably I bought a step drill to drill the 1-inch hole here for this. That was $70, but I've still got that. I think all in, probably $300. So I think you could do a lot worse. I have a feeling that if they people that I got a quote from, or tried to get a quote from, to replace the glass, had to come back, it would have been, I don't know, maybe it would have been $1,500 for replacing the glass. And this is, yeah, like I said, probably $300, and I've got some leftovers. I did notice that ever since I've had it, this side isn't locking in. There's an adjustment in here that I need to modify. This is as far back as it can go, and it's not far enough back. So I think I've got an idea of how to get that right. But in the meantime, I'll just remove the last bit of tape that I can see from my little fix up. But I reckon it's probably not going to be noticed. All right, that'll do.